필살기를 해보니까 생각보다 괜찮더라고요. 그래서 1, 2단이 필살기여가지고 저는 필살기로서 쓴 건데 이제 좀 잘 안 돼서 그만큼 준비를 많이 하고 왔기 때문에 좀 썼던 것 같아요.
There we go. Rocket Ride 100% win rate. I think we're onto something here. Great play by BlossoM, the 3-0 against BTG.
저희 팬분들 오셔서 너무 감사해서 그만큼 더 좋은 경기력 많이 보여드리려고 노력을 할 거고 다른 것보다 마음 편하게 하는 걸 가장 중요시하기 때문에 재밌고 마음 편하게 좋은 경기 많이 만들어내도록 하겠습니다.
젠지랑 하기 전에 좀 한국팀 내 팀은 실력이 어느 정도 비슷하다고 생각했어요. 근데 역시 젠지는 좀 강한 것 같고 그래도 중국팀을 좀 비교적 쉽게 이겨서 다행인 것 같아요.
Even March cannot save Leoric. It's 2 versus 4, but the core is no more, as that is going to be GG. And Ballistics take game number 3 and the series.
일단 한국에서 4등이라는 이미지로 올라온 블라썸이지만 방심하지 말고 진지하게 하면은 그래도 할만할 것 같아요.
Find ourselves in rare air here at the Eastern Clash because BlossoM finds themselves up 2-0. And as we heard from SC in that interview, he said if we don't underestimate them when we play, we should be able to handle them. Right now it's the other way around because BlossoM is handling Ballistics in these first 2 games.
I can't help but feel like this feels like a breaking point for Ballistics. You know, we look at their performance at MSB, a bit underwhelming, right? And every team, especially one as long-lasting as Ballistics, I think they're going to have highs, they're very much going to have lows, but it seems like here with the performance they had in day number 1 and 2, and then the games here in this series, that it feels like, you know, we are a longer downfall than we normally expect from this roster here, and I don't know if they have the motivation to kind of recover.
Hey, to continue with the motivation, I talked to Jungha during the break just a little bit, catching me on a bathroom break, and I asked him a question, what seems to be the problem? And the correct translation with the answer would be, we are just not ourselves right now. We are not playing our game. That's what it is. And I asked him, can you fix that in 5 minutes? He said, I don't know, I'll try. But he's a shot caller, and he doesn't know what to do. That's a big problem, and we may actually just have a 3-0 with that kind of mindset going into Game 3 then.
I mean, we already saw the downfall at Mid-Season Brawl. It was the first time they hadn't finished top 4 at a large international event in who knows how long. And for them, ever at that point. So for them to have a top 6 finish, which by most team standards is pretty decent still, for this team, the standards are incredibly high. And so to come in here and then all of a sudden finish 4th place in a tournament where you're expected to contend for one of those top 2 spots, at worst top 3, but now looking for just a top 4 finish, I think that would be devastating, probably not as much as Mid-Season Brawl. But it does feel very different, like Ballistics has not yet discovered themselves in this new meta drift.
Yeah, I think it's a really cool point, you know, because it is weird to think about, right? Ballistics has done so well internationally that maybe a top 6 performance, is that worse or better than if they were to get knocked out in this point in time? And for me, I look at it as like, that might be better. It's unlike what they've gotten internationally results, but they have never fell 4th to Korea. That is the biggest thing here. Is this is the first time since their formation as a roster that we have gotten that 3rd team to move up and be like, we might have our own. And that being said, it could very much change a couple of weeks down the road, right? But when it comes to the Eastern Clash, BlossoM is legitimately making history here.
Well, G-Clef, when we saw BlossoM earlier this year, we're like, hey, this BlossoM team, they're all of a sudden competing for top 4. And then we hit phase 2, and all of a sudden we're like, Honkono out of retirement, Mary J out of retirement. And that instantly creates new expectations, and top 4 is fine. But the expectations, did anybody have realistic expectations within the scene in Korea that said they could potentially crack into the top 3 as early as an Eastern Clash?
If I had to say yes or no, no, because it was always top 3, Genji, Ballistics, Tempest. Even Ballistics, they were always in top 2. Tempest known for the number 3 all the time because it's a set stone like that in Korea. But BlossoM, stepping up a stone and contesting for top 3, and they're up 2-0. This has never ever happened in Korean heroes history ever. I'm not just talking about HGC, but
no.
all the way back to
Team
Super League,
DK,
all the way
TNL.
back to Team Snake, Team DK. There was always top 2, top 3, never top 4. The 4th place breaking into that never ever happened.
We're not going to count them out just yet. It's just that Ballistics finds themselves in a position that we would have never imagined, and they're going to see the map pick on where they're going to bring it back, and it is going to be on Battlefield of Eternity, where BlossoM has been in control of the team fights through the first 2 games, and this is another map where you can rest assured those team fights are going to be plenty on Battlefield. Hanzo unlikely to make it through on this battleground, so we have to look at other things, and for Ballistics, I'm not real sure where I see Hooligan, where I see SDE on these battlegrounds. I've seen so much Garrosh be controlled. I've seen SDE on heroes that doesn't feel like he's having a major impact. I'm worried when we look at this, but I think we are actually ready to get into the draft momentarily. But when we look at this, I mean, where does anything come back to form for Ballistics?
It's really funny you say that, because this was the one battleground where I'm like, I might accept the ETC, right? But I really don't want to promote it. Like, I'm like, avoid it at all costs if you can here, Hooligan. And it's also a little bit more concerning the fact that I was worried about Dragonshire as the series moves on, but this is a battleground that it's the most picked battleground for BlossoM. Again, willing to kind of pick it here against Ballistics with the momentum they have in their favor. It does feel like the question of where do they gain that ground here in Battlefield of Eternity, where do they make that happen, is the question I feel like we're going to be asking, honestly, until the core goes down.
I think Ballistics, if they want to go all the way back, they have to start asking questions. What were we good at on this map? We really have to go all the way back, maybe even getting some Tracer back in the meta, or even the Vala. Because if they don't have the Hanzo, Tracer was usually the pick, and Diablo, they have been banning out on their own, but this time they get it, so Hooligan does have a comfort hero for himself this time.
I think that's an amazing start for Ballistics if they're going to turn around this series. Putting Hooligan on a playmaker on a battleground is pretty effective, objectively very, very strong. This is going to be a moment, I think, for them to be able to turn things, you know, by no means is it setting it to even footing, but it's a nice start here into the draft.
But they confidently did it. They said, look, if we get this pick, we are snap locking this in. We are coming in with a clear plan. So Diablo does make it through on the other side. Jimmy Rayner as well as the Deckard. We know the Deckard has been strong. See if Ballistics favors the Phoenix this early in the game. You mentioned Tracer. Obviously, we haven't seen much of her. I think, speaking to most people, it requires maybe a Tassadar in general to make that work. It looks like they're going to flex that potential other range damage dealer, as Li Ming has generally been SDE's hero historically, so they're saving SE's hero. Maybe they can use a counter, maybe even a Zeratul to potentially come out for a composition from BlossoM.
They were having really big problem picking up 2 DPS. They needed one before the second ban pick, and Li Ming, one of the best plays from Modern as well, so that's taking one away on this map, the perfect one to poke, and when they can have that long of a team fight, they can still have Diablo. Oh,
somebody's got some inside info from scrims.
Information. Of course, Nano Li Ming, that's really powerful. You can always have a massive skill shot that gives her a massive power spike. But BlossoM's looking for some outliners here.
Yeah, it very much does seem like it's got to be Li Ming with some other maybe kind of synergy between that. That has been a BOE strategy there. But I like the fact that we get that, you know, here in kind of a tense moment between the two teams. Durell not going to be an option. Ballistics willing to ban that out, even though BlossoM hasn't been the team willing to prioritize it nearly as highly as Ballistics.
We also have to consider Sergeant Hammer could potentially come out.
Yeah.
Has not been shown a lot. That would, I think, fall on the side of Ballistics in the later part of the draft. Nerd and Dahaka going to be the pickup for BlossoM.
And Chrono's having such a good game, and I asked him, why not Haymakers? You know? He's moving away. He is certainly moving away, and it seems like After is the right choice, and even the Dorf launch just helped him flank from the side. I think on this map it's going to be a little bit tougher to hide himself around the entire squad, Ballistics, but he can still try the same thing. Ballistics seems like they are not using the information that they're given on the map too well.
I really would like a hammer for Ballistics in this situation. I think it would set their comp up really well.
Yes, Vala from SCSC. That's what he was known for. He is bringing back in 2018 Eastern Clash #2. Let's see if that works. So they already have Li Ming. Vala does not have to go all the way in.
Even though I like the Vala because it does come with the race capabilities, I feel like it takes so much back when it comes to their team fighting, and that is the one concern I have for this. BlossoM, again, with the Sergeant Hammer versus the Vala in that type of situation, what I really think would have been the biggest problem throughout this game for Ballistics, if we see that Sergeant Hammer picked up, is Deckard, Rayner, and Dahaka are all going to sit there in a left-to-right circumstance over the middle and just watch it get withered away. And the commitment to a team fight is so predictable, nobody could really actually get onto the Hammer. That's not a true statement for Valla. She is going to be in a position to where her threat, even with the Vol capabilities, which half the time is going to be on cooldown because she's burning it for a double Q on the race, is likely going to drop. And we have a Malfurion as the only tool to keep her alive. So until it hits post 10 and Blaze has a bunker, Valla is going to be under a lot of fire. And Greymane, it's one of the few matchups Greymane goes, yeah, I'm still relevant in this one. I will body this Demon Hunter.
It's 100-0 moments for Greymane in this situation. That's the scary part about playing Valla. Her health bar, one of the lowest in the games for your standard auto attackers. It is scary, I think, here. They had the Phoenix available. Let's keep that in mind. They had the Phoenix available. They had the Sergeant Hammer available. They go with the classic, as G-Clef said, on the Valla, something that SC is known to be absolutely legendary on, up there with Rare Air of Xingxi and those names internationally to be some of the best in the world on that hero.
And crazy moving, not to take him
And
out.
crazy moving.
And of course, SC. They're going back to their comfort. They're not communicating well at this time. Their atmosphere clearly is not too clear for them. So they need to brighten up the atmosphere at least a little bit, go back to their real old strength comfort picks. I think Valla came out because of that. They do show up in this moment and they do bring it back. It is SC's Valla that we're talking about, and it is the map for the race potential. I think it is one of their better draft, I would say, for the map, and I think they have some part to pull it off in this game.
I think it's very important Ballistics snowballs this game with that Valla pickup. I think it put too much on the race focus and too little into the team fight, so that means definitely win the Immortal, and more importantly, open up the battleground, get the experience advantage, and just make it to where BlossoM puts it into lose-lose scenarios left and right.
Let's roll out here, because it's not going to be Sergeant Hammer. It's going to be the Valla. We're ready. Game number 3, Battlefield of Eternity. Can Ballistics bring it back here against BlossoM here in game number 3, or will BlossoM move on to the lower bracket finals?
Here they are in the blue, 1 game away from making competitive Heroes of the Storm history here when focused towards Korea. It is BlossoM. We have Modern on his Greymane, Wiz playing the Dahaka, Merryday on the Deckard Cain, Gondar on Raynor, and Murden played by Hankono.
And on the other side will be Ballistics. Last chance here. Magi on Malfurion, SDE on Li Ming, Zhangha on Blaze, Hooligan on Diablo, but most importantly, the Valla being played by SCSC.
First thing we have to point out here, I mean, beyond the fact that because we have the Valla, it's going to be Q build for the race capabilities on the Immortal itself, but a Flask build here coming out from the Greymane. Not too wild here, and you can have some deviation you don't have to fully commit to. But, you know, I find it interesting to see that picked up after the nerfs long ago. Seemed to have kind of been a little bit of a miss now.
Yeah, we'll see how strong that is and whether he continues to go down that, most importantly at level 7, get that damage. Because of that small health bar of Valla, you could potentially wither that down. One good cocktail, one good dive in, one good flank from Dahaka there, and then Greymane has already set up his own kill with a little help. And the next thing you know, it's lights out for Valla. So we'll see how impactful that is as the game goes on. But for now, the laning situation is being established. And in the top lane, that is definitely in favor of BlossoM.
Yeah, there's going to be a very big problem now that Greymane has made the transition out. And Ballistics don't have the siege opportunities with the Li Ming, Malfurion, Valla, and the 4-man down below. They are going to pick up the Impalers, or at least start them for themselves to try and compensate for this. But Hankono not going to give it up for free here. At least try and feign some interest and buy a little bit of time.
Yeah, you could see that the Blaze on the minimap started the rotation just in case Dahaka ended up coming in with the Brush Stalker. He knew that Greymane wouldn't be there, so that burst potential wouldn't be there. So the rotation came down. But we do see Greymane and Dahaka on that top camp. Now we're going to see if Ballistics maybe gets the advantage here on the bottom lane.
Yeah, in this type of situation, you'd expect Greymane to come down and be able to deal with this camp, but it might be too little too late. The camp has already kind of been dealt with. The damage has been done on the bottom half of the battleground. So Greymane instead probably sticking up with that Impaler and is going to demand the response there as Hooligan making the rotation up along with SC towards that top lane.
We know the strength of Valla with this Monster Hunter build will continue to have that Q damage, but we're looking to see if they can get the follow-up. Wiz says, not today, as he hops on under there. You could see Hooligan was waiting to follow up on that CC, unable to accomplish that. SDE left in the bottom. Dark Swarm allows him to pass through Diablo there. So unable to get any type of control. And Wiz, he's like, look, I know you guys saw that. Let me hit you with the spray.
Greymane is actually coming back here. Modern was feigning a rotation down below. Wasn't going to fully commit to it here. So we're now getting to the point where the Immortal's about to spawn. Shamans have to be the focus here for the two teams, as Modern is going to be the man making that rotation back. SC doing that for Ballistics. When it comes to dealing with that, though, I would give the advantage to BlossoM in theory, purely because Dahaka has that global opportunity, but Blaze, he's not too shabby at handling that himself either.
Speaking of some Immortals, as we know in Korea, sometimes JPL in Europe, we got some sledgehammer value, so going full stack at level 1, but making sure to get that increased damage at level 4 will definitely increase the race. And, you know, between a Rainer and a Greymane, there's a lot of damage there. Modern does get flipped out, just able to deny there, but Magi, he's going to be the first to fall.
Wiz coming in with that brush talk too. Will he be able to hit the dragon to Jungha? The answer is yes. Is the damage going to be there? Is he body blocking that jet propulsion opportunity? Scroll of Ceiling is there, but 2 members dead for Ballistics, and a huge opportunity now for BlossoM on the Immortal.
Yeah, it does still leave Vala in a position to try and do some damage, but 4 members have come over. Hooligan gets the flip. SC unable to aggress forward, but that does allow them to clear out this camp, which is needed. The top was already cleared out. The Greymane left alone in the top. Once he's in Worgen form, he rips apart, especially when he has that Inner Beast going.
Yeah, we do have Vala, you know, able to get back here once we get the halftime show kicked off. Without the 7 mark hit, though, to get the Q reset, she doesn't have near the burst racing till that we see from that Greymane and the Rainer for BlossoM. So Ballistics needs to be a bit more offensive here. Can't really get the traditional split, especially because of that sledgehammer. Jungha moving forward. Here we see the Shadow Charge coming in. Flip onto Modern. Bit curious there from Hooligan.
Yeah, it looked like he just missed the stun on the first target, and then he's like, well, I might as well go ahead and see if I can find my way out of here, because it's not going to be any bit more. But look at Wiz. Wiz's position. They are targeting Magi. They're going in again. This time he's got a little bit of help from his friends, and now Wiz, he's going to be in trouble. Does have some essence down. See if he makes it out alive. Now Wiz, he's going to be the first to fall momentarily as Jungha comes in, but the Immortal in favor of BlossoM.
It was a very clear call by BlossoM. The minute they realized that Wiz was overcommitted, it's like, let him die. He was very comfortable going, guys, worry about the Immortal race. We're going to claim this for ourselves and then not let that kind of snowball happen. And as I talked about in the draft, the Vala pick versus some of the other opportunities like the Phoenix, my concern was getting the early Immortals and snowballing this game out of control. By no means is it, you know, an end game problem at this point in time, but a lot of the power spikes that I wanted to see from Ballistics are definitely not here yet on Battlefield of Eternity, J-How.
Right now for Ballistics, they have a defense in place. The Roots will buy time, buy space. Level 7 still not here yet as Hooligan goes in. Almost gets flipped by that boss stun, but I actually thought it was, but yeah, once level 7 comes in, we now have the repeater coming in at level 7 for Vala. That's where not only the race damage comes in, but even burst damage, single target damage for Vala does amp up quite a bit at level 7, and Wiz finds himself in a tough spot, but Root's not able to get him down in time.
Jungha did make that transition towards top to be able to deal with that if you would like. Uncharacteristic miss there of that Hungering Arrow from SC, something that cannot happen, especially considering the fact that they're down 2 games. They went with the Vala pick here to, again, stick to their comfort and recover from some of the struggles that they have had as of late here for Ballistics. I can't help but feel like every Q that you see being a whiff is a morale stab for Ballistics.
Yeah, he's only sitting on 5 stacks currently. Murden sitting on 11 on his first, but you also bring up another quest from level 1. You pointed out the Cocktail. We're actually getting Cocktail here at level 7 for Greymane, sitting on 5 stacks so far. Once you hit 15, get that cooldown reduction, definitely helps. And of course the damage increase as well is when it really starts to hurt. Right there, Hooligan, you can see he's stacked on souls now.
What that will do for BlossoM as this game moves on is, let's say BlossoM has Dahaka into the offlane for the side soak and it's a 1-4 split between the two. Ballistics normally would have a big advantage when it comes to the poke opportunities, but BlossoM will do a much better job of being able to sit back and poke off and thwart off that sieging. And Vala doesn't have the continuous Immortal race like some of those other high-value race heroes that we do know. It's very much, here comes rotation 1, and then again, waiting for the cooldown onto the vault.
This is a very interesting rotation. Look at Vala's positioning, because the Immortal will be in favor for SC to turn and start attacking at the minute this spawns, so the Shaman camp being slightly delayed by both teams. And when it comes to full, flat-out race, Ballistic already in position. Zor, you look at the health bars just ripping through them.
Yeah, it's a very slow attempt there onto the Shaman for Ballistics, and as you said, with SC's positioning, it's fully capitalizing here, and that's what the comp needs. They need to be able to keep this up, continue that race further. Dahaka and friends looking to rid of the Shaman. That Ballistics did end up capturing it here.
Oh, they got a race.
Wow, this is a very, very bad position for BlossoM. If they want any kind of defense, they're going to make the rotation down, but is it too little too late? Scroll of Ceiling lands onto Jungha. We get the cleanse. 2-man stun there after the Storm Bolt.
Nice roots, though, coming in as we re-examine a few of the heroes, and Deckard continuing to get the stuns and the slows and the roots, everything here, not the stuns, but the slows and the roots have been so impactful in this. Only 1,300 damage left. SDE should be able to poke this down. So for Ballistics, despite being behind close to 10, they do manage to hold on. Positioning definitely favorable for them, but you go back to that early call on that Shaman camp being there first, and their positioning definitely showing itself here as they now get the second Immortal of the game. Yeah,
very much is the reason that they ended up getting that huge advantage early on, but I think BlossoM had near flawless response to it with the Gray Main 1-4 split, continuous pressure onto the 4-man to make sure Vala Li Ming does not get that free damage output. That was ridiculous play there coming out from BlossoM. Now having to deal with the shielding onto the Immortal, pretty easily dealt with. Hooligan sharking around on the left-hand side. Will he end up going for the Shadow Charge? Gondar gonna throw out the Q, make sure that's not a thing.
Oh, we got Stun City here because we got APOC, and if we get the Rain of Vengeance coming down behind this, but hold on, speaking of stuns, Hooligan, he's getting locked down. There's gonna be the APOC, it only locks down one. Hooligan trying to survive. Tranquility is out, so is Bunker. He hops in that Bunker. Might want to come out and get a few of those heals as Hong Kono ended up having a dwarf toss over the wall, but John Ha comes in with the stun.
Meryday's gonna go into the choke. Stay a while, listen, lands onto 4 people. Will they end up having this follow-up combo? Magi gets the drag there from Wiz. Oh man, BlossoM, they get the setup, but no kill opportunity. Shadow Charge over from Hooligan. They end up getting the first kill. Modern goes in, but it is way too deep here. He has disengage in 2. Will he be able to make it out?
Oh, Gondar, Jangha goes in, helping to make the plays, but SC following up a lot of this, and just like that, Ballistics finds themselves a lead. This is a breath of fresh air for them, Dreadnought, in this series. They have had a very difficult time finding these moments, but there is playmaking potential like crazy right now for this team.
Especially considering how sloppy, really, that fight was opening from both sides that are trying to be able to deal with it. BlossoM for a moment there, once you saw Meriday go into the fog and be able to break that beautiful 4-man stay a while and listen, you thought, all right, this may be number one of 2 things, right? The full retreat from BlossoM or the beginning of the end for Ballistics. So being able to respond, get the immediate pick there on to the Murden and it coming up from Hooligan, again, I feel like a lot of this game, if it is successful, it's going to be on SC on that Vala and Hooligan on the Diablo, because those are the characters they're relying on to kind of go back to their comfortable mental state and have that confidence that they absolutely should have.
Right now, Ballistics trying to deny any type of sieging pressure from BlossoM to make sure they keep the experience advantage in their favor. We saw SE grab that camp up at the top, of course. Q-Build Vala, very strong at that. Only sitting on 9 stacks still a ways to go on that for SC. The race, obviously, 4-13 is here for Ballistics. A while to go.
Hooligan.
Wiz. There's the bang into the wall. Wiz, see if he has Essence. Curse Bullet was ripped. APOC is out. Hong Kono diving in.
SC trying to keep alive. Maki ends up getting the trade, but look at that depth propulsion out from Jungha. Gondar is now going to be able to keep himself alive. Meriday trying to be able to get the peel, and now Hong Kono left alone there. Dwarf tosses over the wall, throws at the Stormbolt, accepts his fate, and Ballistics get 2 picks here as Immortal spawn.
Dread, you can start to feel the energy from this crowd of the Ballistics members. There is a silence that has been around this crowd for the Ballistic fans throughout this series, but now you're starting to feel the energy start to ramp up, and you can tell Ballistics is starting to feel it themselves because they now have a kill lead, 5-2. They're also approaching 13. They're also going to send us to the halftime show while Hong Kono is just now respawning.
No 13 talents here within range for BlossoM with the race opportunities there with SC onto the Vala as Immortals coming back from the halftime here. SC quickly going to rid of that with a double Q. No opportunity. Almost nearly 100% shielding here onto this Immortal for Ballistics. Jay Howe. This is very likely minimum keep front wall, I feel like, at this point in time here.
Oh, they did a very good job making sure to proc the Shaman camp of their own. It might be a little slow. They need to hurry up and expedite this very quickly. We do see Dahaka that will get the push bottom. That bottom fort should fall, but it looks like Vala is actually going to deal with that bottom push. Hong Kono is expecting this. I'm just watching the minimap now. Murden looking to get this dwarf toss over. SC has to be very careful. Now that he's shown, here comes the ping. Here comes Hong Kono.
Will he get the vault in time? There we go. Stormbolt not going to pull the trigger yet. There's the vault. No opportunity to escape. He just got to buy as much time as he can. Well going down. Hong Kono's got the Stormbolt. Rain of Vengeance is there.
He has Siphoning Arrow.
There's no way.
No. But still, there's a huge push top. A massive push top.
And it's how much can Ballistics get done now, knowing that Vala is not going to be sieging it out here. And man, it's a really interesting choice that Ballistics just ended up making to get with a 1-4 split with that much shielding onto the Immortal. Not only because of the pick opportunity for that split, but even when we look at the fact that the defense over that bottom half, who's your best sieger there between Li Ming and Vala? Vala's going to get the damage onto the structures here, Jay-How. So I can't help but feel like that's a moment where we see the breaking will and morale here of Ballistics even hinder their in-game play, even when, you know, they are gaining this momentum for themselves on this third game.
Tahaka contemplating on whether he wants to go and check this. He does get sniffed out. They've got to get this down because BlossoM is coming in quickly. Yeah, he's just looking for every flank possible. His positioning, he's now in that choke point, in that bush. That's where he's hiding right now. It's up to Hooligan to make sure with those fire stops to continue to sniff these out. He's walking straight in. There's going to be the stunning. Here comes the lockdown. Stay a while and listen. It's going to lock him down for now, but he does get into the bunker.
Does get into the bunker. Wiz is going to get flipped over. He ends up getting the burrow out, and SE ends up missing the Q. APOC is there. Wiz not able to get out of range. Jet Propulsion locks down 2 there. Honkono trying to be able to get the retreat, but Ballistic will be able to hunt it down. SC finds another kill. Gondar in a bad spot. Baby. Combo comes through here, and Ballistics get a 3-for-nothing trade.
That started out so well. Everything was used to try and all in on that, but this is a stacked Diablo, and then the APOC, he's like, look, you're going to go underground. I'm bringing it back in, and right now, Hooligan definitely making plays this game, but SCSE, his positioning was perfect, following up with the Rain of Vengeance. He's dishing out the damage, and right now, Ballistics is firing on all cylinders, and with these death timers, they're looking to establish more of a lead. They have 16 talent tier advantage. They're softening up this lane no matter what lane they go to. Keep walls are down, and the next Immortal 20 seconds away from spawning.
They're getting the siege out here. 2 seconds until Jimmy Rayner is going to be back in with the squad. Jet Propulsion there lands. Out from Jung Ha keeps still falling here. 50% and counting. No brush stock or opportunity or diving past the back line here from BlossoM. They're able to thwart them off that bottom keep, but a lot of damage done here. And now with these Immortals spawning, as we have highlighted, the 16 talent are nowhere to be found for BlossoM.
Yeah, that would have been great had they gotten the keep, but they realized, look, I mean, it's nice, but we don't always need it. You know, depending on the shielding of this Immortal, they could look to end the game. If it's a softer shield, depending on where we go, they could potentially make a double keep play. So there's a lot of potential you can play in the macro zone for Ballistics. And for BlossoM, being down a talent tier, we know that they have the potential to take fights in disadvantageous positions. We'll see if they do that, because right now it's just top-bottom, and with Modern already starting this, it looks like Ballistics should just look to race.
Ballistics, with the 16 talent here and confidence, is not willing to take the skirmish here, at least not quite yet. Within the 1-4 split, they see the damage happening to their Immortal. They know that Greymane is the man getting that race in, and with that, Hooligan steps up, throws out Fire Stomp 1. SC poking it out there with the Hungering Arrow. Look at Honkono though, looking for the Dwarf Toss combo. They end up getting the Shadow Charge and trying to get the APOC combo, but they got nothing out of it here, Jay-How.
They're still looking for it. Hyperion is up. SDE is zoned out on the right side, but Hooligan, he's very, very low. Does have the armor. There's going to be the isolation landing in the middle as well. Right now, Hooligan somehow surviving. Hyperion continue to rain down, but the health bar is starting to fall on the side of BlossoM.
Mary Day's in a bad spot. The 3-4-man Jet Propulsion. Oh my goodness, he moves up for the stay a while and listen, and Ballistics just denies all opportunities to be able to get the recover. 3-for-nothing. Gondar trying to kite and buy as much time as possible, but there is the 4th down, and with that, Ballistics pick up this Immortal, and it looks like they have gotten us a game number 4.
At this point, they are already sieging down the top keep. They are walking right in. They want to extend this. They do not want to go home yet. It is 12 kills to 3, and they've done it behind the composition. It might be old meta, but what is old is new again, as Vala is back here on Battlefield of Eternity. Keep already down. Ballistics, they're going directly to the core.
BlossoM trying to hold on here as the Immortal 70% HP as they throw down the bunker. Stay a while, listen, actually lands onto 3 of them. Silence along with that isolation. Hooligan ends up getting the flip over. Blizz trying to keep himself alive. Honkono does end up landing the Stormbolt, but look at the shielding on the core. It is going down there as 2 members of Ballistics end up dropping here and shielding removed.
SC, he's going to fall, but will it be enough as the Immortal is there? 40% and falling. The Immortal has done it, and Ballistics will send us to that game number 4. APOC's going to buy some time, and down goes the core, and the crowd is starting to go wild here as Ballistics fighting back, showing signs of life in this series. And now this is the type of series we expected from Ballistics. They find themselves still down 1-2 in this series. That is a very, very positive sign, G-Club.
Told you, SC on the rage mode on that Vala. Who can stop him? No one can. Greymane was not enough. Of course, we were looking for Sergeant Hammer. I think that was because of Diablo going for the Curse Bullet, but that really never happened. Having the bunker, Hooligan almost died so many times. I'm always in the bunker, out of bunker, and Magi was able to clutch and save all of his teammates all the time. What an incredible game. A comeback, the start of comeback, possibly a 3-2.
I mean, it's wild. The way that played out, the Vala pick, obviously, we said, oh, wow, we're going old school here. We know he's one of the most legendary Vala players we've ever had in this game. That is going down in history. It doesn't matter what his future is. His past is already etched in stone. And for him to come out with a performance like that, it just like puts a little polish on it because that looked good.
And I cannot praise Jung Ha's positioning and decision-making over that top skirmish anymore because there was a small moment when Hong Kona got that dwarf toss and he kind of got split into a moment. Mary Day was constantly waiting for that moment to move into fog and hit a back end, stay a while and listen. But Jung Ha not only kept vision control over that, he made sure that when Hooligan moved too far out, we saw him move up to drop one pot, and the second that happened, he was like, nope, jet propulsion, we got the crowd control through, and Mary Day got just dominated over that fight. I would argue, you know, Hooligan maybe out a little too far, but Jung Ha getting that punishment, it feels like that's what we expected for him on the Blaze, you know, especially when looking at league play.
Well, you mentioned the Blaze was there as a backup option for when Hooligan did get in trouble, but Hooligan's play definitely stepped up that game because it's been shaky through the first two, but he made several plays initiating, and we even saw the APOC out there in that fight.
Yeah, APOC did certainly help sometimes, and that was first pick Diablo. Talking about first pick, Rainer first pick instead for BlossoM. He did not really have too much peel, no Irel, no Blaze. We saw Gondor getting caught oftentimes alone, just trying to escape. When everyone else already escaped from the fight, he was the only one. When there's no peel, no safety tools for Rainer, we know what's going to happen. Is it really worth first picking all the time? In this kind of draft, it was certainly not the case for BlossoM.
Well, Battlefield of Eternity always has a different meta. And you can continue to cast your vote in chat on whose meta you think is going to win out on this. BLS, BLX for Ballistics, or for BlossoM and Ballistics respectively. But for these teams, we already know Battlefield of Eternity, a very different battleground. We have quite a few to go. We already saw the Sky Temple, the Tomb of the Spider Queen. So curious where we're going to go next. We'll have that battleground here for you in just a moment. But for these teams, obviously, Ballistics finding life. And sometimes momentum can be a thing, especially at lands. Dreadnought Snitch obviously is a former player, but you are as well. And so sometimes you're in these moments, you find yourself down, the energy. How much does that help you moving forward to find your way back in these series?
At this type of situation, when you have the land and like a crowd kind of going behind that, and I feel like when you took those flex picks, as you were talking about, you know, sticking with that, like what you're known for, right, and being able to go to your grassroots, I've never gone that extreme to where I'm like, you know what, we're going to go way back to the Uther, baby, right? Like, but the fact that they were willing to do that and have that success, I feel like it is definitely a lot, enough for me to go, like, I think we might find ourselves back to even footing. Who's going to be the better team here? You know, with that in mind, I do feel like meta-wise, BlossoM is still shown to be the better one, right? We did get a win from BlossoM, or Ballistics, but I don't go, that was all drafting, outplay, and things of the like. It was just, they were able to keep things together and work as a unit.
Well, we're going to be heading to Towers of Doom, a map that is never over until it's over. Just ask Genji, who's waiting by in the grand finals, because they know exactly what Towers of Doom brings, and it does bring open the conversation continually for the Sergeant Hammer, things of that nature. But the Diablo pick in particular, we had seen it banned previously. I got a feeling Diablo might not make it through this draft.
Oh, Diablo certainly, but I want to talk about Dehaka. Dehaka may just be banned, first of all, from BlossoM. Of course, Wiz has a pretty good standing. He was borrow charging to dodge DC. That was pretty cool. But when Dehaka actually goes to Jungha, it's even scarier. He's always soaking into the other lane. We don't really get too much camera shot of Jungha, just soaking in all the time. But he comes, joins the team fight at the crucial time, grabs onto the support, grabs onto the squishy DPS line, and he delete at least one. He brings two with him. So he's a monster on that. Dehaka, certainly a ban choice for BlossoM to go into the map.
We didn't have the URL last game, but you mentioned Jungha's positioning. That fight in the middle where we saw Magi under pressure, and Diablo and Blaze are just like, hold on a second, the enemy team's over here. They instantly went back. They're like, don't worry, Magi, we got you, because that's a moment where all of a sudden Malfurion, he's still squishy, still does have some liabilities, but Magi played so incredibly well defensively, putting down the roots directly on him, staying alive in situations maybe where he shouldn't. But the coordinated play, the effort of both of those frontliners on the side of Ballistics seem to be making the plays not just offensively but defensively. So for them, when you talked to them during the break last time, yes, things were a little discoordinated, uncoordinated there, but it seemed like they're definitely back on the same page, at least for now. See if BlossoM can maybe change it back up. Again, you've got to remember, BlossoM is still just one game away from clinching this series.
And I also want to bring it back to something I talked about earlier that I kind of, you know, was set to the wayside, expecting this to pretty much go in favor of BlossoM before that last draft, and that was the Dragonshire option that's left over and how heavily in favor of BlossoM that, or Ballistics that actually exists, this is Ballistics' second highest picked battleground on Towers of Doom, and they haven't lost on it yet. So it's putting it in a position to where very comfortable here. And if we get that much momentum, I smell